All right. Okay. So here we are, episode 4, uh, Lunchtime Decolonization. Uh, Curtis Vinish, myself, and our special guest, Tommy Christian, coming to us for the second time. He did a solo lesson by himself, but we've invited him onto the podcast, onto our episode here, just to talk about a few things and, do some really good things. So those of you that don't know Tommy or missed the last like rocking episode that he did, Tommy Christian comes from Poplar, Montana. He's world renowned, world champion traditional dancer, Jedi master traditional knowledge keeper. He carries with him a lot of amazing stories, amazing knowledge, just uplifting messages, and really powerful knowledge keeper. Somebody that a lot of people rely on, including myself, in terms of guidance and help and movement forward within this modern world. And I'm just excited once again to have this episode and have Tommy. Tommy, do you want to introduce yourself at all?
Oh, mitaki epidaya hipi naha. Ushimalo omaki ekchewi chashamialo naha. Dagush kashkan blaska wanyakapo. Ushimalo omakia naha. Ampe tukile michante ta oaglake naha na pechuza pelo. Hohe chaje mitawa wamnisha ge doba imachiape. My relatives, again, welcome to this. You watch me on this TV, and again, I shared with you. I'm going to speak to you from my heart today, and I offer you all my hand. My Assiniboine name is my Nakona name is Wamnishage, Eagle Claw, but they also refer to me as Four, and that's my Dakota name. But again, hopefully this will be a dandy. Uh, Mind opening experience for you and help you to understand the importance of a cultural identity and all that good stuff. But again, just wanted to reiterate, as I said last time, I'm purely a res Indian, pure D to the bone res. So if it doesn't really apply to you, ask somebody that lives on the res and they'll give you some understanding and help you out with that. But again, it's really important that we have an understanding of our opportunities, our choices, and some of the things that we do in our lives that will make us a better, stronger person for the sake of our relatives. Oh, mitakeo yasi.
Washpe. So we have a few questions that we have. Of course, I wish that um, one of the comments from the last episode, Uncle, was that I wish we could have all day, listening, and that's definitely 100%. Uh, you know, a lot of us could, sit down and listen and visit with our elders, and I know that you have done that many times throughout your life. I know I've sat and listened and visited with a lot of our people, and and those don't take are not short periods of time. But within this time frame that we have here, we'll do the best we can, and more importantly, because not only is Uncle Tommy a world champion traditional dancer, a world-renowned MC, knowledge keeper, former tribal leader, and all of these really good things, but he's also a half decent golfer. So he's half decent. Uh, in the Indian world, we call him a hustler. He goes on the golf course with cowboy boots and his cowboy hat, and they don't think he can do anything, and it drives it 350 yards. You're still at 350, you know. Yeah. So he goes out there and hustles. So that's an important part of all of this, and I think we're going to head out in the golf course sooner rather than later. But we want to start with the first question here, and we're in this I guess indigenous renaissance in education right now, where we are moving forward and finally building off the blocks that started to happen in the late 60s and early 70s, with people starting to be proud of who they were again, starting to reclaim their indigeneity. And now that's finally starting to have open doors within our education system. It's starting to happen within our schools. But what we're finding is a lot of youth are wanting to find out, uh, gain a better knowledge of their identity, find out their traditions and their knowledge, and really gain that sense of pride in who they are. but it's not always readily available. It's not something that you can download a textbook and read it. There are different ways in which we attain those things. So we wanted to ask you, what's your advice to some of our young people that are just starting their journey and connecting to their identity? What's your advice to them and what would you say to those youth that are just wanting to learn?
How and again, my relatives, one of the things that we do is I really promote critical thinking, being intuitive in the manner in which you walk this red road. And it's important for us to realize, give us each our own minds. He helped us to understand the importance of taking it upon ourselves to understand our commitment and our sincerity towards this woe each other. In my language, we would say that, and it means that faith that we all are instilled with based on natural law, our ability to understand the instinctive way of how we survive, understanding that as a result of let's being that war that we are because of the attempt of genocide of our whole nations of people. We are all currently the alpha wolves of our culture and our value system that precipitates from natural law. And so be intuitive. Go and go to a ceremony if you get invited. Understand the importance. If it feels good to you, if things look like they're working for you, you just gotta humble yourself to this natural energy, this spiritual energy that's up there, and it'll guide you. But you got to rely on that. You got to look inwardly. First Nations people heal from the inside out. Our relatives that are non-Indian, they heal from the outside in. And understanding that diversity that exists out there, take it upon yourself as a First Nations person to really apply yourself with some sincere commitment. And then from that, the creator or this natural, this spiritual energy will take you on this red road in a manner in which you can do it without fear. We've been indoctrinated to base a lot of our decision-making process on fear. But us, we say, my relative, make yourself strong. And you do that based on your character development, looking within yourself, making yourself strong in character so that you can continue to pursue your direction and your guidance in life. And you'll understand that as you go along, and you don't want to go too fast, but you just want to take your time and understand from your heart. Like I said, I'm going to speak to you from my heart. That's the way we do these things, is we work from the inside out. And again, a lot of this we all been a learned behavior as it relates to what we are as First Nations people, but they won't recognize that the society of today, contemporary attitude is they want us to heal from the outside in. They're not understanding who we are, what we are, and why we are, as we do. And so in that, take it upon yourself. Get some smudge or talk to an elder. Let them give you some guidance, and you'll feel it in your mind, in your heart, in your spirit, if in fact this particular individual is true to what they're saying. If they're going to instill fear in you, if they're going to make you afraid and become superstitious, just be cautious. Observation is the best key. Look and watch and just be aware of how you're going to receive this information or this guidance and direction. Is it coming from the creator or is it coming from this human being? Just that's the simplest way I can put it, Toshka. But again, it's really a sincere commitment to involve yourself in that development of one's character, going beyond that fear of yourself as it relates to these inhibitions we may have that puts fences up in front of us and keeps us from continuing to pursue this important cultural identity or this personal identity in who and what we are, so we can answer the question as to why we are. So that's I think that's a basic fundamental understanding of receiving this guidance. How?
Yeah, no, that's thank you for that. That's powerful. I think of even personally my own journey and a lot of young people with being in an urban setting, you don't have a lot of opportunities or might be disassociated with your community. And in terms of that, I think education is now playing this role in providing this space for people. So in your eyes, what do you feel the role as education plays in that? And what in your eyes does a true Indian school look like?
It's important. Like I said, you have all of these language classes coming, thinking that the rest will follow. I think they got it backwards myself. I think what we need to do is incorporate from the inside out the development of one's character. In other words, strengthening yourself through this cultural perspective. Learn about the value system that you're with. How basis for your making process that won't instill fear, but will be strong enough to go forward and understand you have the right to make your own tracks. That's the way I was taught. My dad would tell me, I'm going to go over there, my son. He said, and if you were walking in the snow, if you tried to follow me in my same tracks, it'd be so hard, but maybe you might make your own way over there. He said, and then you'll get there before me. Well, wait for me till I get there, but don't try to follow exactly where I'm going. This is the understanding that was shared with me by old people. But in that process, we need to realize the importance of being intuitive, accepting that responsibility of who and what you are, being human being, not being afraid of it, understanding with this spiritual energy on my side, who can be against me? Because your intent and your commitment is for the sake of others, for the sake of the greater good. You're doing these things to make yourself stronger, not to overpower, overcome anything, but to share that with the others so that they too can become strong as well, for the sake of our future, eh? For those that are just born or the unborn, leave this a better world for them, just kind of like that. And so as we do these things, a school should really understand the importance of character development. And one of the things that you can compare that to is let's take something that's more contemporary, the Boy Scouts. All of these leaders that say they're this, they're that. What are they? What does the Boy Scouts represent to them, and where did that come from? That come from our cultural value system, from natural law, instilling them the ability to really survive. They have all these little things, milestones in Boy Scouts that they learn to survive in times of need. Well, that's our way of life. Like I'm res. That's what we do all the time. Our standard of living is not less and it's not lower. It's just a little bit more survivalistic, if you will, based on our ability to develop our character, to learn how to hunt, learn how to drink water, clean water. If your horse is going to drink it, then you can drink it. A horse won't drink poisoned water. Stuff like that, just natural stuff, eh? And again, these are the things that a lot of times our urban Indians don't really get an opportunity to see. So it's really going to go back to a spiritual perspective for them as it relates to where is their heart, where is their mind, what are they talking about, and their ability to accept some of this information, discern the good and the bad from it, and deal with just the good. You see? And so that's where the Creator will guide you, never hurt you. That superstition has got to go out of our learning, teaching process. And so a school like that would help our people to understand the development. Character is key. And then guess what? The language comes. The language will come naturally. It'll just involve itself into that process. How?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things that you just mentioned in there that are really powerful when we're looking at our schools. One thing I've noticed, um, up here in Canada, we follow this mandate called Indian Control of Indian Education. That started in 1972, and some really powerful people, got together and really made a push to take control over education. But what happened over time, and what we see as the majority of things happening in our school system, is that we have Indian control over colonial education. We're copying and we're mirroring, a system that's designed to kill us. And, but that's because we're looking at it outside in, rather than exactly what you said, from the inside of who we are as Indigenous people, our core value systems, everything from the inside, and moving that out, and how you put that is just, it's spot on. So, our push, it's amazing that we have these language courses and these language programs and these land-based programs, but if they're add-ons, they'll always be an add-on to a system that's designed to kill us. So, having that from the inside out is such a powerful observation. Thank you for that. We'll move to our third question, and we can have some if anybody has any questions out there for Uncle Tommy. But I've sat. So I have a Bachelor of Education degree, a Master's of Education, and I'm doing a PhD. Those are all really good. Those are really good. Those are I value them. But in terms of what's the most valuable to me, it's the Indigenous knowledge education that I received from my grandfather, from my father, from my uncle, from you, Uncle Tommy, just in guiding me along. So I view you as a PhD, at the same level as a faculty member in a university. You got that much more knowledge than that. So let's put you in a place where you're going to be the instructor, and you're going to be teaching future teachers that are going to enter the school. You're in there, you're standing in front of them, you're educating them, you're going to do that for them. What would you teach them? What are the things, what's going to happen in your class for all of these future teachers? What are you going to teach them?
The first thing that what I would do, Toshka, is to help them understand the importance of, I wouldn't tell them anything, but I would afford them an opportunity to develop their own avenue of approach as it relates to this shared knowledge that I carry. And again, it's based on an understanding of experiential teaching. So I would try to help them understand the importance of linear teaching as well as abstract learning. And then in that process, the responsibility doesn't go to me, because when you tell somebody to do something, you take that responsibility. But if you share something, then you're giving and relenting that responsibility to that individual. That promotes that individuality and helping them understand how I'm depending on them to learn this so that they can make a better future for myself and for those that have yet to come, because I'm not going to be here all the time. And in that process, our young people are being told what to do, as opposed to being shared the experience that I've had to help them understand the importance of, they say, "Mitakia piwachinia pelo." They say, I'm depending on you. I want to live. And what I mean by that is I'm depending on them to continue this natural law concept of living, so that I can continue to live my life in a manner in which is going to be beneficial for all of us, not just for me, but for all of us. This attitude of entitlement that First Nations people have is really detrimental to that whole process. So what you want to do in this opportunity, in a shared experience, in a shared manner, is to help them understand this learned behavior has really been killing us. We need to overcome that. And again, in a classroom setting, you look at a teacher as an authoritarian. They take on this autocratic attitude, take control for the sake of organization and whatnot. And you, Chris, you understand that with your degrees that you have. And boy, and you're understanding now the difference that exists out there. And in that, we're not autocratic in our manner. We don't want to do these things, but you had to be. In order to achieve that paper, you had to go along a standard that was totally alien to your thought process, and yet you had to do that. And that standard was totally alien to you, but you did it. And now you have a better understanding of both sides, and that's that diversity that exists out there in order to establish a unique way of approaching the problem at hand, these issues that are affecting us in a detrimental way, in which I'm trying to share. But you have to understand what you're up against. I myself, because I'm an Indian, on my own reservation where I was a tribal leader for 18 years, they called me racist because I live like an Indian. And so the influence that's there for our young people is you have to have the character to overcome these opinionated individuals that want to take control. And in that process, it's sad, but they're not understanding the importance of this coexistence that we can create and develop. Instead, they want to make sides. We don't want to make sides. We want to meld together because, again, we're totally inclusive in this Changleshka, the circle of life, in respects to Huhu Nupa, the two-legged. That includes all human beings in regards to the Huhu Dopa, the four-legged, the Chobahi Oyateki, the winged ones, the Ichaga, the plants, all these things are included. The Dagushkanshka, the insects, they're all included in this Changleshka, this circle of life. And that's what we're trying to establish. But yet there are people that want to make this division, like what you're doing now, Chris, and what you've established yourself in. You're taking it in a direction that is so cool, and people need to understand, each and every one of us, if we look inwardly, we all have that goodness in our hearts. That's for the sake of survival. We need to learn how to do who we are, what we are, and why we are as First Nations people. And for ourselves, for the sake of the greater good, understand the purpose and our dedication, realize the becoming. Are we still here? We
Yeah,
lost
it
you
was just
somewhere. Are we still here?
yeah, we're here. It just froze up a little bit. We didn't catch that last part.
I was old too. God darn it. But you know, that's the thing, like even like this technology thing, the lagging that's going on, it really affects the outcome. But I think what needs to be done is get a video, just maybe off this stream or something like that, and then you could present it on your indigenous thing. Then you don't have to worry about lagging or anything like that, but they could get the true sense of the spirit of it. Like I never was somebody that was much into picture taking and video record, but I have since learned we need these things in a contemporary way to educate ourselves for the sake of the greater good that includes everybody, and even those that it helps dispel that fear. It helps rid us of that superstition that's incorporated in our way. It helps us understand the importance of protocol, not doctrine, not dogma. There's a difference that exists there, and we don't need to be becoming defensive at trying to protect what is ours, but it belongs to everybody. And in that shared experience brings and meshes and melds that uniqueness together. That's why I've always said the diversity and the uniqueness of our cultural value system needs to become a tool for growth for the sake of our youth, so that they can continue these things in a good way. people will not accept that. Instead, they want to create division. But we always have to be aware, as Dakota, Lakota, Nakona people, we're their allies, we're their friends. We'll help them when they're in tough shape. And again, Chris, that's what you're trying to do. And that's the beauty of who and what we are as First Nations people. Does that make sense, boys?
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I think especially at your first points regarding the decolonization of the classroom and what your classroom would look like. I think some things that as a first year teacher, some things that I've done differently to kind of challenge it is the students refer to me as Curtis, not Mr. Vinish. And so that dynamic already changes there. That's one small thing that I've done. But then even just reviewing the relationships with your students as a family setting within, Cree and Métis natural law of Wakutuin, that we're all related, that these are my little sisters, my little nephews and nieces. That's the kind of approach
Absolutely.
it is. And you have a more spiritual connection that way as well, because that's the way our families operate.
Promoting the family value system, and that was what was taken away from us for the sake of this detrimental aspect on teaching us, reteaching us who we are. We already knew who we were, but yet they broke down our family, stole our children, took away grandma and grandpa, uncle and auntie are no longer the teachers, all this good stuff, And the reason the mother and the dad aren't the teachers is because they would baby them, The uncle and aunt, they're supposed to be afraid of the uncle and the auntie because those are your teachers, And so you kind of had to do what they told you. That was an indication of respect. And so the teachers, the Wonspikia of today, they should look at themselves not as the autocratic telling you do what I say and all this good stuff, but instead, I'm your uncle. I'm your aunt. I'm going to share with you this, and if you want to accept it, fine. If you don't, I'll find a way, because I'm going to help you understand the importance of how I'm depending on you as your uncle, And in that respect, you always respect somebody that's older than you. Even if they're one day older, you always afford them that respect and that opportunity to kind of guide you along and help you out in a good way. That's the way I was taught. They laugh at that and they think it's not going to have an effect, but they're forgetting about we're going to be old someday too. We're going to get 21 years of age too, and we're going to have a right to make up our own minds, For 27 years, I followed this doctrine or this dogmatic way of life. I cannot talk against Christianity, but I can share with you the differences that I existed, because in a good way I prayed about a direction and a guidance when I became a man. And that was when I was 27 years old. When my natural father passed away, I made a choice to not do drugs or alcohol anymore. And so for 40 years I've been living a drug and alcohol free life as a result of the love I had for my father. And in that process, Christianity took me 27 years down the road until I got to that point. And then I prayed about it to the Creator to show me something that I needed to do to really instill my understanding to prepare myself to someday soon go be with my relatives on the other side. And that's death, the mystery of death. Well, the Creator presented Himself into my life and again helped me understand the importance of being in control of all of my faculties all this time. For 40 years, I've done that. And then in that process, it helped me dispel and get rid of all these superstitions, but address the realities of life. And in that, I'm part white. I'm a quarter white. I'm 3/4 Indian, Sioux, Lakota, Dakota, Nakota. But at the same time, I did not deny that either. And so I accepted that. I went beyond that fear, addressed who and what I was, and then I made the responsible choice, mature choice, when I was 27 years old to continue to pursue my cultural value system that was based on natural law. My dad shared with me, my adopted dad, Mato Pewanka, shared with me, he said, my son, he said, you can't ride two horses at one time. Are you a circus? Are you in a circus? He said, you learn how to ride this horse. You learned how to ride your white man's horse. Now here's an Indian horse. You learn how to ride this one. And then you take the choice on which one you're going to take. And so I chose in a very mature way, after I understood a little bit about these, going beyond that fear, I chose my cultural value system because of the support that I received received. Not saying that one was wrong, not saying that way was wrong, but helping me understand the importance of natural law and how much I needed that to kind of get over this learned behavior of becoming that noble savage, that lazy, no account, wife beating, fornicating warrior that I thought I was going to just throw my kids away. That never came into being, because again, that's that romanticized identity that they say we are. We as Dakota and Lakota are not patriarchal. We're matriarchal people, And in that process, I had an opportunity to go beyond that Hollywood romanticized identity as what we are, and become the man that I'm supposed to be, the protector and the provider in all aspects of that word, understanding the woman in a matriarchal perspective as the manager of not only our homes, but of our spiritual way of life. And so it's something that's hard to accept sometimes because of that learned behavior, but to overcome that learned behavior, but to understand the diversity, uniqueness that exists there, and be able to define myself as an individual. We get over this individualism and this attitude of entitlement, and we become the individual that represents that individuality that helps me understand I'm a part of this changleshka, the circle of life. What is my purpose? What is my meaning? What is my dedication in life? What does that sound like, boys?
Yeah,
I'm
powerful.
talking fast because I know we don't have much time.
Those are powerful words, as always. Like we can definitely, keep on going for forever with these conversations. And I think a lot of people really appreciate. I know for a fact a lot of people appreciate you taking the time and just being able to visit with us. Share some lunchtime decolonization with us. Um, you know, these. I, it's really, really important for us to, really take in these systems of what you're talking about and put them into play. And these are uh, powerful things that you're saying. Knowing that when we move forward in this fashion of understanding who we are from the inside out, connecting to our roots and our identity, whatever that may be. For me and northern Manitoba, my relatives are Scottish fur traders that come from over there, and you fight for me while you got to kill the English. Some of those kind of people that come over. And I've always made reference to the fact that our relatives are part of that group as well. And you spoke to a very important part. There's no shaming, that comes with language learning or comes with our identity. We are who we are. And I think that message is such a powerful one. Thank you for sharing that. I am conscious of your time. I am conscious of the fact that, we do our best to, in this COVID-19 pandemic reality, this is what we have right now. In the future, when we're sorted out with all of this, we'll all come and visit you, and we'll do things in that proper protocol way. Sit down and do these insights and this talking. We have one question from Jade Brown Tatusis. She wants to know, who's your favorite fancy bustle dancer?
My favorite fancy bustle dancer has got to be Michael Roberts.
There you go.
And then Donnie Spidell after that.
Awesome. And I guess just in closing, we want to say thank you, Wopula Tonka, for everything that you've shared. You are always an inspiration to so many of us. The knowledge that you share is valuable. I liked how you put that. We don't own any of that indigenous knowledge. We just share it, and in the hopes that it continues to carry on, and that we are, all of us, wherever we are, one day we're going to be somebody's ancestor. So what sort of legacy are we leaving? And my late uncle Arsene Tatusis, he made that statement one time, and I thought about it, and I'm like, Oh, damn. You know, that's there's nothing more true than that. One day we're going to be somebody's ancestor, and what are we going to do to leave that legacy and that knowledge behind so that someone else picks it up and carries it on? So I want to say thank you, and on behalf of us and the people that are watching, I know that they're all thankful for that as well. And did you have any closing comments that you wanted to share there, Uncle?
Yeah, yes, I did. Actually, I want to thank you two gentlemen, educators, people that have taken upon yourself, fought the hard fight, the blood, the sweat, and the tears that went into what you achieved, and still maintaining your culture. Last time I spoke about my uncle and how he did all these things and was in the service for 28 years and was doing all these things in 2 wars and whatnot. But you gentlemen are taking on a more contemporary perspective as it relates to this diversity that is represented out there, but at the same time acknowledging the uniqueness on who we are as First Nations people and trying to apply that. My dad would tell me, my son, don't be afraid, because if you're afraid, you'll get angry, and that anger represents like violent acts, eh? He said, how you dispel that is you bring clarity, you provide clarity. So gentlemen, don't never be afraid, don't ever defend who and what we are as a people, but understand the importance of my soup is fighting back here. My little baby. But don't ever be afraid, and don't defend the way we are, because again, this is what we do, this is who we are. And again, always be understanding that everybody has the right to be respected as it relates to their opinion. They're going to fight you. They're going to say bad things about you. But what you represent to me, you two gentlemen right here on this thing, is the strength that we're wishing to instill in our young people. Learn about both sides. Realize the importance of that diversity. Bring that uniqueness together. And again, we'll become a strong people. How hetchitualo wopila chichiapalo wamnisha gehemialo dagonis non waistina wash wopila tanka na agnagupta hecha.
Brahma. That's amazing. Curtis, did you have some closing comments?
Yeah, no, I think those, thank you for those kind words. I think especially about who we are and how we identify. And me being a Métis person and having that half breed, there's both sides there to that coin. And I think a lot of the times, it gets lost and through the history and the colonization of our people, a lot of people forget to acknowledge that and are ashamed. There could be shame. There could be a lot of things that are against you from reclaiming your culture and walking in and learning the language, learning these ways. And so I want to encourage people out there, no matter where you're at in your journey, to continue to strive and learn and have an open heart and have your heart in the right place. And those people will be brought to you. And you'll be able to take those steps and learn and reconnect and finally feel at peace of who you are, as well as finding what to do once you know who you are.
Always remember and ask yourself this question: what is my vested interest in this whole concept, eh? And it's usually the children. That's why you're educators. My vested interest. And in this case, the uniqueness is First Nations children. Make sense, boys?
Makes sense. And that's a perfect spot to end this talk. Thank you very much. Yeah. Pirama, thank you for everything that you've shared. Amazing as always. And we'll hope to connect again sometime if you're able to and willing. We'll figure out something. So good luck on the golf course, and I hope everything works out for you and you're below par for once,
Washtelo, wopila chichaplo. Doksha kewa chigin kta.
Doksha.